What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis here, your host of the DyeatTight, and we are here for the UBL Season 3 Week 3 Team Builder versus GoldoaDragon and his team being the New York Empoleons. Now, first and foremost, I do want to apologize for the lateness of the upload. This week has been very hectic for me in my summer job that I'm doing, and also some other things came up to the point that me being able to actually sit down and record kinda took a step back to the point that I wasn't able to upload this on time. So my apologies to UBL and to all viewers as well regards to that, but better do this late than never, right? So we are going up against GoldoaDragon, like I mentioned. His roster you can see right the bottom right corner as usual. My C captains, as a reminder, are Greninja and Moltres respectively. And his only C captain that he was able to afford then for his team throughout this season is the Tapu Koko. So this matchup on paper is very tough in a lot of ways. We had to face one of the toughest matchups already last week versus OPJellicent on paper. And this team arguably could be as tough as that is, or even more tougher that I really thought it would be at first glance once I started team building. So this is gonna be a tough matchup in that sense, to try to really find out a way to come up with a win in itself. I really struggle throughout this team builder to find myself a winning condition that I see myself leaning towards to play my late game goal. And ultimately I decided to go with the mod that we're gonna be covering first, which is the fourth member on my team in itself, but it's the mod that I wanted to build around and make this team function towards to the point that this thing can win. And that is gonna be our Scarf Tongue, the Greninja with the Choice Scarf in itself, with triple stab in Surf, Dark Pulse, Hydro Pump and U-turn, with Timid Nature, enough speed to outspeed a Scoloped at +1, because we do have the Choice Scarf on ourselves to make sure to be able to outspeed that thing. And then we just have a double Water Stab, because Water is relatively good offensive typing versus him when I can combine it with my Dark Stab in itself, because his Water typing on his team happens to be the Slowbro, which is obviously weak to Dark, and if necessary I can always U-turn on it too. And I really like the fact that if I'm able to play this Greninja properly in a point that if I allow it to take certain chip damage throughout the progress of the battle, I can play myself to the point that I'm in torrent range, and in torrent range I will be able to kill likes of Tapu Koko, for example, after Stealth Rocks with a Surf, torrent boosted that is. And the same goes with a lot of other things as well, that I'm able to kill them outright from full with Surf or with Hydro Pump if I'm in the torrent range. So with the bulk that I have on my physical side, Skarmory's uninvested Brave Bird will be doing below 50% at max, I believe. So I can take two of those in a pinch if I needed to help me to get into that range, and therefore making my Scarf Tongue a little bit more powerful without having a boosting item on itself or a C move, and therefore functioning a little bit better as a winning condition. Then the next mod that we are gonna be covering is gonna be my Gliscor, and Gliscor was actually a mod that it's first on the team, and it's for a good reason, because I felt like it's a very crucial for me to bring into this matchup, because it can be a very good pivot versus some of his offensive threats, and it's gonna be almost fully physically defensive, a little bit of speed investment for potential speed creeps from his behalf versus me. And then we are running dual stab actually with Earthquake, Wing Attack, U-turn and Roost, and the Wing Attack is there to Oko Heracross from full ideally if necessary, cause this is my better ways to check that thing defensively and offensively besides my Mega Gallade. And it can also do good chunk to something like Scoloped, leaving it to the point that Greninja can revenge kill it with one of his water stabs, as long as it's not above +1 speed on it at that point. So it's a very good pivot versus his bug types. It can take a hit from Choice-Out X if necessary, as long as it's not above +1 on its attack. And it can also pivot versus something like a crocodile once I'm able to get the toxic orb activated, and that is going to be very key for me throughout this match. So as early as possible, try to find a proper opportunity to activate the toxic orb, so I'm a lot more freed up to use it as a switching versus the crocodile, and I don't have to worry about that toxic orb to be knocked off. So that is going to be the Glycol set. Next up, we are going to be having a very powerful set versus him as a wall breaker, but it's a very risky one itself too, because how I decide to go with my nature and my speed investment. But that is gonna be our Mega Gallade with Adamant Nature, with dual stab in Train Punch and Psycho Cut, and then we have also Leaf Blade and Sword Dance as the setup move. And the Leaf Blade with the Adamant Nature and the investment that I have, I can OHKO a fully physically defensive slow pro after 1 round of Stealth Rocks if I happen to get them up, or 1 round of Toxic Spikes damage in itself. So this thing should be able to wall break through his team and enable that the things that are slowing my Greninja not be able to pick things off. This thing can hopefully open the doors for my Greninja to function as the winning condition towards the later part of the battle in itself. And we also have a lot of physical defense investment, because this actually enables us to live a +1 Flare Blitz from a Jolly Charizard X, if I remember right. So that is pretty significant in itself too, and that kind of hopefully helps me regards to not running like a Jolly nature to outspeed that Charizard X. It's a risk that I'm willing to take on this prep, as long as I'm able to have the bulk to take 1 hit from the Charizard X in itself, and at +2 I will OHKO it with Train Punch in itself. So I can hopefully manage with that risk that I'm taking here, but I still have enough speed investment to outspeed max speed Adamant Heracross. So I don't think he has any reason to go Jolly versus me, and besides that, I felt like that's the proper speed mark to hit. The other things that potentially outspeed me, like Crocodile or anything like that, I can always take 1 hit from them and OHKO them back with a Train Punch and gain that health back pretty quickly. So I wanted this thing to be the Adamant Nature just to guarantee the kill on Slowbro, because with Jolly Nature I wasn't able to do that. So I'm taking a huge risk in this regard on this team build, but I figured it's worth it, because the best natural check that he has for this thing on his roster in my eyes would be the Slowbro. So I want to make sure that that one check that he should have naturally on his team will be OHKO'd by this thing regardless, because Skarmory can be a check to this thing as physical defensive, but it will get OHKO'd by +2 close combat after Stealth Rock. So I don't think that's the most optimal way for him to build if he wants to bring a defensive backbone to deal with this thing. So I wanted to make sure that the one that I feel like is more proper to deal with this thing, I can still manage it. And then we are running a very very unique set with a Alola Mach. The Bob is making his debut here in the UBL Season 3. And what kind of debut he's gonna be having with a special variant of Modest Nature Alola Mach with Sludge Bomb, Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, and Recycle. And you might be wondering, what the heck are you doing with this kind of Alola Mach? It doesn't even have the special attack stat to run this kind of set, but hear me out, because you probably want to hear for sure that why I'm running this kind of set. But the idea with this set was that I kind of felt that I was a little bit prone to switch into that Slowbro if he brings it then, which I feel like there's a very high chance for him to bring versus me with something like a Colbo Berry and a fully physically defensive to deal with Mega Gallade. And if I don't have a proper mon out versus it, I could struggle switching to his Scald and be punished potentially by the burn. So I wanted to bring something that doesn't worry about getting burned, while at the same time it can deal with it 1v1, and it can also deal with some other things on his team, like the Tapu Koko in itself. And this also functions as a Tapu Koko check, because with the bulk that I have, because I'm able to live comfortably any 2 hits from the Tapu Koko after Stealth Rocks even itself too, and Sludge Bomb is doing like 75 to over 80% to the Tapu Koko in itself. So even though I'm not using Poison Jab to outright kill it, I'm still doing significant amount to it to the point that it should be in a range of Greninja at worst to be revenge killed by it, as long as he's not like Choice Scarf or has used a C move or a agility to get more speed to it than it has naturally. So that is kind of the Alola Mach there. The Flamethrower is there to hit his bug types and more importantly the Skarmory, because I do expect it to be physically defensive for likes of Scizor for example, or if he happens to see that being his Mega Gallade check. So this thing can still after Stealth Rocks 2-shot it with the Flamethrower in itself, as long as he doesn't have leftovers on it as its item. So pretty cool set, and hopefully it can put in the work and kind of be a surprise factor, because it can break through the Tapu Koko, it can break through the Slowpoke Skarmory core in itself, and from there it can function as a pivot and a wall core between the Gliscon itself too. Then the last two members are going to be my Shaka Berry Lure sets with Diancie and Dragalge itself, and these two queens right here, the one pretty queen and one with more poisonous queen I guess in itself in Dragalge. Both of them will be packing Shaka Berries just to make sure that the Earthquakes from Crocodile, Earthquakes from Scolopede, Earthquakes from Charizard, I can take those a lot better than I would normally be able to do, because I'm a little bit weak to that ground coverage or stab besides my Gliscor, as you can tell. So I wanted to have the dual Shaka Berries to kind of lure those things in, and either killing those in a progress while I'm able to take that ground type hit as long as the Shaka Berry is intact. And besides that, I can also do significant damage to him if I'm not able to guarantee the KO, leaving them to the point that Greninja can revenge kill them with the Choice Scout set in itself. And Diancie is also functioning as our Stealth Rocker of this week, and it also is packing just Dual Stab plus Calm Mind as its other movesets. And the idea with Calm Mind is that I'm able to provide more pressure to his defensive mons that can naturally take hits from Diancie, like things like Slowbro, Skarmory, Licky, things like that. They can normally take hits very well from a regular Diancie, even if I would be max special attack modest. So I wanted to make sure that I do have Calm Mind so that I can boost up my attacking moves and be able to hit them harder. And also versus Slowbro, I can potentially beat it 1v1 because I have Calm Mind if he doesn't have a Calm Mind of his own, because then his scalds are doing a lot less to me and I'm gonna be doing a lot more back with the Moonblast. And we do also have the special attack investment and the modest nature that we kill a offensive Crocodile from full that is properly speed creeping my other things on my team that it's able to do. So that is going to be the Diancie set. Hopefully it's going to be doing a lot of work, and it's able to either lure in and eliminate the Crocodile, lure in and eliminate the Scolopede, or lure a, well, soft check the Mega Charizard X in a pinch if necessary. So it can do a lot of things, but I have to make sure that I use it properly and I get the maximum value out of it with the berry in itself. And the same thing goes without Dragalge also having the Shaka Berry. We are running Dual Stab plus Thunderbolt for the Skarmory, and then we also pack the Toxic Spike. So we have a little bit of hazard stacking core here between Diancie and Dragalge, and that is mainly there to make sure that if I see him bringing more of a balanced and a bulkier team in itself, between like Slowbro and Licky, that could be hard for me to break if I don't position my Gallade properly early on to break them. I can at least have the hazards in itself to kind of help on throughout the progress, but it would have to mean that he doesn't bring his Scolopede. But other than that, I didn't feel like I need any of the other moves. I could have put Draco Meteor as well there to guarantee O-Calls versus some other things that I'm missing out right now. But I want to make sure that I'm more prepared for a lot of different scenarios that he could bring versus me, so that if he brings the fatter team, I have the Toxic Spikes hopefully to punish him from that, and I still will be doing enough damage with my Dual Stab and Thunderbolt to his team, to the point yet again that the Greninja can function as a revenge killer and the winning condition. So that is gonna be the team of 6. Like I mentioned, it's built towards to be more offensive naturally, having few just pure fat pivots that can dish out hits and be somewhat surprise factors, hopefully, with their coverage and just in the sets in general. Obviously, the Bob the Alolomag being hopefully a huge surprise factor and can be successful one. Then we have Mega Gladiator, a little bit a riskier wall breaker setup to hopefully help Greninja in the progress. And the idea also with the whole team in itself as a whole versus this Golobit, that every single member of my team can leave it in a range of Greninja revenge killing it. So it should not ever have opportunity to get into +2 with speed and not be able to be revenge killed by Greninja unless he runs protect on it or substituting itself to enable it to live another turn to get the boost up. So I like the team in itself. Hopefully it's gonna put in a lot of work for us and give us a W in a matchup that is very hard on paper. And knowing GoldoaDragon, even though he hasn't done too well in the GBA Season 9, he is still a very opponent threat in Draft League format. I have seen him doing well in the APA Showdown League, I believe, which he uploaded from. He did very well there, and I have seen him being able to be very tough opponent to beat, and I'm very excited for the opportunity to play him for the first time in Draft League format. And hopefully this is gonna be our opportunity to bounce back from the last week loss and go out into a 2-1 record, whereas our opponent is still looking for the first win. And hopefully for our sakes we won't be the first win for him in this season. But the battle in itself will be going up later today, as this is gonna be uploaded on this Sunday as I record it. So you're gonna be able to see the battle very soon, and hopefully in few hours after this is gonna be uploaded. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you like the team. Let me know what you think about it, what you would have done differently. And until that battle in itself, thank you all for watching, and until the next time, I'm gonna be seeing you guys later.